Well, hey there everyone, and welcome back to Stuff in Excel. I'm Richard, and what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to bypass passwords in Excel. Okay, this is going to be a really interesting, fun activity. I think you're going to like it. So let's just understand passwords just for a moment. Let's talk about them. First thing we know is there's about 4 different kinds of passwords in Excel. The first one is the save password, right? Now, this is the password we use to save a file. Now, I will tell you right now, this password cannot be bypassed. Okay? This is a password that's there. We can't do anything about it. If there's a password on the file and you've forgotten it, you're just dead in the water. Unless you have some really, really sophisticated tools, and I don't have those, and I'm not going to even try to go learn them, because you got to have access to the other person's computer. You've got to have some fancy hacking software. We're not going to even try to do that. The second kind of password is the read-only password. This password can be bypassed, but I'm not sure why you would want to. In fact, the easiest way to do that, and I've shown it to you in another video, is just save the read-only password or read-only file with a new name. Go back and delete the original read-only file, then change the name of the new file back to the old file name. And that's the easiest way to get around the read-only password. The read-only password is pretty much there to keep you from accidentally writing over your own information and own software. And I talked about that in the video where I talked about saving your files. Now, there's 2 other passwords that I want us to talk about. And I'm going to actually change the color so we can see those. The first one is the Workbook protection password. And the fourth one is the, well, let me go change this one also. There we go. And the other one is the Worksheet protection password. Both of these passwords can be bypassed, and both of these passwords often show up in worksheets and workbooks and files that employees have prepared. Now, a couple of things can happen. One, you can simply put a protection password on a worksheet or a workbook and simply forget what it was. And now you're locked out. You can't change anything. You're locked out of your data, and you really want to be able to get into it. Another thing might be you have an employee that has worked for you. They've left. They had some work books that were really important to you, but now you can't get in and do anything with them because the workbooks and the work pages are locked down with passwords. And you want to be able to get to those workbooks and worksheets, and you can't. Well, that's not going to be a problem now, because I'm going to show you how to get around the workbook protection password and the worksheet protection password. So let's just go look and see how it is done. So I'm going to shut this down, and we don't need to save it. So here's a file, and this file is a dashboard, and this file both has workbook protection and worksheet protection on it. And we're going to assume that I have no idea what the passwords are. In fact, I did these files, and I've already forgotten what the passwords are for the workbook protection and the worksheet protection. And you can see I've got this. I can't go into this. If I remember correctly, I cannot go in and add anything to this. I can't see the underlying worksheets. I know there's a whole bunch of worksheets here. I can't go in and delete them. I can't do anything to this. I can't hide. I can't delete. I can't rename. I can't do much of anything to this because the workbook is locked down, and the underlying worksheets, by the way, are also locked down if I could get to them, but I can't. So how do I do that? Well, let's close this back down. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to this file, and the first thing we're going to do is make a copy of the file. We never want to actually work with the file that we want to change. We're going to make a copy, and we're going to work with the copy. So I'm going to right-click on this. I'm going to copy it. And now what I'm going to do is right-click on my screen, and I'm going to paste it. Now, that's going to show up over on another screen, and I'm going to go grab that and drag it onto this screen. There it is, and there's my dashboard example copy. So the next step, and this is really important, I'm going to right-click on this, and I am going to change the name of this. Now I'm going to change the name of this file. I'm going to change not the file name, but the extension name. Now, if you cannot see the extension on your files, I've got a video that'll show you how to do that. But right now, let's assume you can see the extension on your files. Now I'm going to change this. Right now it says XLSX. I'm going to change that. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to change it to ZIP. Now when I change this to a zip file, it's not only going to change the file, but it's going to change the way the icon looks. So when I hit enter, you'll notice it gives me this message. Are you sure you want to change this? I'm going to say yes. And when I do, it's going to change this. This now looks like a zippered folder, okay? Which is exactly what I want it to do. That means it is a zipped file. So the next thing I'm going to do to this is I'm going to right click and I'm going to open it with Windows Explorer. Now, if this file has a file save password on it, this will not work. You will not be able to open this with Windows Explorer. But because this file is not password protected, it's not password, it didn't use a save password, I can simply click on Windows Explorer and it's going to open up this window right here for me, and it lists a bunch of files that are inside this folder. Now we're getting to where we're starting to look at things like XML files and XML code. So what I want is I want this one down here that just says Excel. And I'm going to double click on it and it's going to give me several other files. And the one I want is way down here at the bottom. This is my workbook protection information folder, okay, or file. So I'm going to take this file. Now sometimes you can right click on this and it'll let you open it in Notepad. Mine doesn't do that. I'm not sure why, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply drag it off of this window onto my desktop. It's going to make a copy on my desktop when I do that. And here it is. It puts it over on my other screen, so I have to drag it over. So here it is. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this file with my notebook. When I right-click, it allows me to open with, and one of my options is Notepad. So I'm going to open this with Notepad because I'm going to go into this file, and I am actually going to edit this file. You notice this is it's an XML file. I'm going to right-click. I'm going to go to Open in Notepad, Open with Notepad, and where was it? I can also edit in Notepad, and I'm going to click on that, and it's going to open that up for me, and this is the file it gives me. Now, this particular file, there's a couple things I want to do. The first thing I want to do is I want to check to make sure that it is in Word wrap format. If it is not in Word wrap format, and it is, but if it was not, it'd look like this. And there's a whole bunch of stuff way over to the right, and I've got to be able to see all these lines of code. I can't have this like this. So I'm going to put it back in Word wrap format. So you want to make sure that Word wrap is checked. And when I do that, it's going to look like this. The next step is to go into my edit, and I'm going to search. And I'm going to search for the word protection. So I'm going to find, and I'm going to type in the word protection. Notice it's already there because I've done this before, and it anticipates that's the word I'm looking for. So I'm going to look for the word protection. When I hit enter, it's going to find it in this XML code. There it is. You can see it down here. It's highlighted in blue right about in the middle of the screen there. Now, if you'll notice, and I'm going to turn on my magnifier for just a moment, every line, what we're seeing here is a bunch of lines of XML code, and each line starts with an open bracket like this right here. You can see that, right? And it ends with a closed bracket. So this is the file that has the word protection in it, the line that has the word protection in it. I want to highlight that entire line of code. Now I'm going to have to find where that line ends. So I know it begins right here. Where does it end? Well, I go over here. It's not end yet, so I'm going to go back down one row and go back to the beginning. And then I'm going to start looking. So I'm going to start looking here, going down the entire line of code. Remember, I got workbook protection highlighted. Holding down my left button. I'm still not finding the end, so I'm going to go back to the beginning, go down to the next row, and I'm going to go over until I find the word lock structure equals 1, and there's my closed bracket. So I'm going to include that closed bracket in my highlight. I'm going to lift that up. Now what I'm going to do, let me get out of this. I've highlighted that entire line of code from the first open bracket to the very next closed bracket. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that line of code. So I'm going to hit delete, and it just takes that line of code away. So now I've edited my XML code. That line of code is no longer there. All I have to do now, I can shut down my search window. I'm going to do File, Save, and it's going to save it right back in the XML file that I used earlier. I can close this down. So this file has now been edited. Now I'm not done. I now have to take this and drag it back onto this window. The reason I do that is because this file over here has not yet been changed. This file has been changed right here, but the one over in this window is not. So I'm going to drag this back over, and what it's going to do, it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to do this? I'm going to copy and replace that file. I'm going to just click on copy and replace, and it is now copied and replaced that file. I can close this down. I can actually get rid of this. I don't need it anymore. Now, I have managed to edit and change what's in this zip folder. I'm now going to change this zip folder back to an XLSX file. I simply right-click on it. I'm going to go back into my rename. I'm going to go back to zip. I'm going to change my extension here to XLSX. I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to change it back to, now it's going to ask me, says you change the extension. Is that sure what you want to do? I'm going to say, yeah, it is. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to change it back to an Excel file. Now I'm going to double click on that, and I want to show you what's happened. When it opens this file, well, just taking a moment, it's opened my file. What I can do now is some things to this file that I couldn't do before. I can actually go in and add another worksheet if I want to. I don't want to do that, so I'll delete it. But more importantly, I can right-click on that dashboard tab, and I can now unhide my other tabs. I can click on this, and I can simply click on, I'm going to hold my control button down, click on each one of these. I can open them up, and I can now go in and I can actually see these other tabs. Now, what I can't do yet is I can't change these tabs, because if I try to right-click on that tab, well, actually, it's not protected. But if this had been protected, if this worksheet had been protected, I can go in here right now. I can change all this stuff. But if it had been protected, I couldn't change this. If I want to also now go in and be able to change this stuff, I have to do the same thing again. Only this time we're going to do something different. So let's go into this. Let's say my SCH enrollment. I'm going to protect this tab, and I'm going to put a password on it. Ask me what the password is again. And I'm now going to save this file. So I've saved this file now. It's now if I open this file, this is the same one we just did, right? If I open this file, I'm going to see all of my tabs, but when I go to that particular tab, my SCH enrollment tab, so you see I see all these tabs now. If I go to this I can change this one. I'm going to change that to 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But if I go to my SCH enrollment tab, if I try to insert a column, it's not going to let me do it. If I try to change a number in here, it's not going to matter. It's going to give me a warning. I'm not going to be able to do it. How do I take the protection off of a worksheet? Well, it's very similar to what we did before, but not quite exact. So let me go show you real quickly how we would do that. Now, the first thing we have to do is we have to count tabs. So we are on the third tab in this. It doesn't matter what you've named it. It doesn't matter what the name is showing on the tab. The only thing that matters to Excel is from left to right, which ordinal number is it? This is the third tab, that third worksheet. That's going to be important for you to remember. So we're going to shut this down. Now we're going to go in and we are going to do what we did before. We're going to take this. First thing we're going to do, we're going to make a copy of it. Because remember, I always make a copy of everything before I start to manipulate it. I'm going to paste that copy. And now I've got to bring that copy back over here. Now, this is a copy of a copy, right? Okay, that's because of the way we're working with it. But now I'm going to right-click on this. I'm going to go in and rename it. And I'm going to change the extension to zip. Again, it wants to know if I want to do that. I'm going to say yes. It's going to change it to a zip file. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to right-click. I'm going to open that with Windows Explorer. It's going to give me this window. Now this time, I'm going to click on my Excel folder. And this time, instead of going down in here, I'm going to go to this folder right in here that says Worksheets. And you see it. You start at the top and go down. There's a folder that says Worksheets. I'm going to click on that and open it. And it's going to give me all these worksheets. Now remember, ours was the third worksheet. This is the file we want. So for each worksheet, if it's going to have it's going to be protected, you got to go to the file for that worksheet in order to unprotect it. So what we're going to do is, I know that. I'm going to take that file, I'm going to copy it over here onto my desktop. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag it over here. Here it is. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to go into Notepad. And it's going to open me up in Notepad. I am in. I'm going to double check to make sure I'm in WordWrap. I am. Next thing, I'm going to go to Edit. I'm going to go Find. It has the word protection, so I've already do that. If it doesn't, you just type that in. I hit Enter, and there's my line. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to delete that line. Here's my beginning of that line, and I'm going to go down and find the end of the line. It's right after word scenarios equals 1. And I'm going to delete that entire line from this particular file. Okay, so I'll delete that. Now I'm going to save it. I'm going to close this. I'm going to drag this back over into here. It says, are you sure you want to do that? Yes, I do. I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to get rid of this XML file because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to go up here to my dashboard, copy. I'm going to right click. I'm going to rename it XLSX. I'm going to hit Enter. It's going to say, are you sure you want to do that? I'm going to say yes. It's going to change it to an Excel file, and here it is. I'm going to open that file, and when I open that file, not only can I now see, have I taken the protection off the workbook, I have now taken the protection off of this worksheet. So I can now go in and change it. If I want to change that to 10,000, well, it won't let me change it because it's in a spreadsheet, it's in a file. But if I wanted to add, say, a column, I can do that. I can insert a column. I can now put things, type things in elsewhere on this worksheet. So I can do a lot of things to this worksheet that I could not do before, but I can do now because it is unprotected. So you have to unprotect the workbook. Then you have to go in and unprotect each individual worksheet. You just have to remember, as you go down to the bottom of the screen, which worksheet you're trying to unprotect it. So, really cool way to get around the passwords on worksheets and workbooks. Hopefully that was helpful. We'll see you real soon right here on Stuff in Excel.